The sea was restless that night. The wind howled across the waves, and the disciples strained at the oars, their small boat tossed back and forth in the middle of the lake. It had been a long day. Jesus had just finished feeding over 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish, and now he had sent his disciples ahead while he went up the mountainside alone to pray. Hours passed. The sky darkened and a storm began to brew. The disciples were far from land, stuck in the middle of a churning sea. They were experienced fishermen, most of them, but even they couldn't quite hide their fear as the wind battered the boat and the waves rose high around them. And then, in the darkest hour, sometime between 3 and 6 a.m., they saw something or someone coming toward them, walking on the water. Not swimming, not floating. Walking. Terror gripped them. "It's a ghost!" they cried out in fear, their voices nearly drowned out by the crashing waves. But then came a voice, calm, strong, and unmistakable. "Take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid." And just like that, fear met familiarity. That voice, it was Jesus, walking on the sea, defying every law of nature, standing above the chaos. The wind still howled, but something shifted in that moment. One man, bold and impetuous, answered back, "Peter, Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you on the water." Peter didn't just want confirmation, he wanted participation. He wasn't satisfied just watching Jesus do the impossible. He wanted to step into it himself. And Jesus said just one word, "Come." Without hesitation, Peter climbed over the edge of the boat. Imagine the scene, the other disciples watching in stunned silence as he planted one foot on the water, as surface then the other, and he didn't sink. For the first time in his life, Peter was walking on water, one step, then another, his eyes locked on Jesus, his faith holding him afloat. The storm raged on, but Peter was doing the impossible, not because he had power, but because his faith connected him to the one who did. The water was beneath him, but it wasn't stronger than the presence in front of him. He wasn't walking on calm, glassy seas. He was walking in the storm. That's the part we often miss. Peter didn't wait for the wind to die down. He stepped out while it was still raging. Faith doesn't require a perfect environment. It requires a perfect focus. And Peter had it. For a moment. But then the wind caught his attention. Maybe a wave crashed higher than the rest. Maybe lightning lit up the sky and reminded him of where he was. Maybe fear whispered, "You're not supposed to be able to do this." Whatever it was, Peter shifted his eyes from Jesus to the storm. He looked down, and that's when it happened. As quickly as faith had lifted him, fear began to pull him under. The water that once held him now threatened to consume him. He began to sink. Panic set in. The miracle turned to terror. And in that desperate moment, Peter cried out 3 words that changed everything. "Lord, save me." He didn't try to swim. He didn't shout to the boat. He didn't try to figure it out himself. He reached for the only one who could help. And immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. Not after a moment, not after Peter had learned his lesson. Immediately. That's who Jesus is. He doesn't let you drown in your doubt. He catches you even when your faith fails. As he pulled Peter from the water, Jesus looked at him with compassion and said, "You have little faith, why did you doubt?" It wasn't a rebuke, it was a reminder. Peter had walked on water. He had done what no man had ever done simply because he believed. But the moment his belief shifted to fear, the miracle paused. Jesus didn't say Peter had no faith. He said it was little, faith enough to start but not enough to finish. Still, he saved him. Together they climbed back into the boat and the wind died down. The storm that had tormented them all night vanished the moment Jesus stepped into the boat. And the disciples, watching it all unfold, fell down in worship. "Truly, you are the Son of God," they said. They had seen Jesus heal the sick, feed thousands, cast out demons. But this moment showed them not only his power over nature, but his willingness to meet them in their fear, his grace to catch them when they fall, and his identity as the Lord of both sea and soul. This story is more than just a miracle. It's a mirror. It shows us the rhythm of faith and fear, the tension between boldness and doubt, It reminds us that faith isn't the absence of fear. It is the decision to look to Jesus in the middle of it. Peter walking on water isn't just about defying gravity. It's about trust, obedience, and focus. It's about knowing that as long as your eyes are on Him, even the impossible becomes possible. And yes, we may falter. We may look at the wind and feel the pull of fear. But even then, especially then, our Savior is near. He doesn't let us drown in our weakness. He responds to our cry. He lifts us up. And maybe you're in a storm right now. Maybe the winds of life are howling, and the waves of anxiety, failure, or fear are crashing in. You feel stuck in a boat, rowing but not getting anywhere. You've seen others step out and you wonder if you could. Maybe you did once and you began to sink. This story is for you. It's for every soul that's ever tried to walk by faith and stumbled. It's for those who dared to believe and then got distracted by life's storms. It's for the ones who want to step out again but fear the fall. The message is this: keep your eyes on Jesus. Step out when He says come. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Miracles happen in the middle of storms. And if you fall, He will catch you. You are not alone in the waves. Peter walked on water until he looked down. But even in sinking, he found a Savior who was closer than the waves, stronger than the storm, and faithful even in doubt. That's the heart of the gospel. Not that we are strong, but that He is. Not that we never fail, but that He never lets go. So walk even when it's scary. Walk even when the wind blows. Walk with your eyes on the one who calls you out of the boat. And know this: when you walk by faith, you are never walking alone.